Donald Trump is in a bit of a bind in terms of his campaign. He wants to get reelected, but he is presiding over a number of disasters that are far worse than they needed to be because of what he did and what he didn't do. And you'll notice that he hasn't been running a lot of ads that make any mention of the pandemic. There were numbers put out like yesterday that it has basically appeared in none of his ads. Well, that has now changed because he's got a new ad attacking Joe Biden, saying that Donald Trump was right on coronavirus, Joe Biden was wrong. Let's dive into this ad and see what we think.
On January 30th, the World Health Organization declared the Chinese coronavirus a global health emergency. President Trump acted immediately, announcing new travel restrictions on China.
Starting at 5 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, the U.S. will temporarily ban foreign nationals who pose a risk of transmitting the coronavirus from entering the country.
Democrats and the media attacked President Trump for these restrictions, but President Trump was right.
Every expert agrees now, looking back, that the president's call to restrict that travel from China pretty early on was a good decision.
But Joe Biden, he got it wrong. Biden tweeted the same attack about xenophobia again and again and again. As late as March 26, the Biden campaign still refused to support President Trump's action. Biden's staff would only say travel restrictions could be warranted. Finally, 2 months after President Trump's decision, Biden's staff claimed he supported them all along. They want to rewrite history. But no amount of spin can cover up the fact that Joe Biden got it wrong and President Trump got it right when American lives were at stake.
I love this.
It's a tough row to hoe, as they say. But what do you think?
I made my first shot, and I've missed every shot since. But I made my first shot. I struck out the first batter, and every other pitch I've thrown has been knocked out of the park because I am the worst pitcher in history. Yeah. That's what he's saying. It is amazing when he says things as late as March 20 whatever. It's like, well, since then, and concurrent with that, you've made hundreds of mistakes. And since then, you've made countless more. Mm-hmm. But your big thing, and it makes sense that he would say it because it's xenophobic, and the one thing that they've been like, you guys are pretending that I'm racist when you're racist, when your anti-racism is killing people. It's like, dude, you want to point to one decision. Mm-hmm. And I, since we're doing sports metaphors, want to go scoreboard. Mm-hmm. Scoreboard. You're in charge of this country that is the worst in everything. And yes, we have more infections than anybody else. We have more deaths. It is bad.
Yep.
We have done so poorly. And I, if I was consulting the Trump campaign, would not bring up coronavirus at all.
No.
Ever.
But this is the only way they've figured out to try to do it, is we're going to hone in on this one thing and say that we were right and they were wrong. And Trump was right when American lives were at risk. Let's not check in to see how that played out with those lives that were at risk. They were at risk. Lots of risk. Turned out it was a very real risk because 150,000 plus of them have died because Trump checked out after banning the travel. The thing is that this is like a big picture look at the way Trump is talking about banning the travel from China. Would you be surprised if I told you that it's also incredibly dishonest in virtually every way possible? Because this sort of attack that Trump banned travel, he locked it down to protect America, forgetting the fact that it was already in America, it was already spreading and all that, and they were saying it's xenophobic, and they were wrong, has been dishonest from the very beginning. Because Trump didn't press a button that said ban travel from China. He did several things. It's dishonest in several directions. The first is he didn't entirely even ban travel from China. He banned some travel from China after people had already come back from China. So it's not the bold stance he wants to make it out to be. It's also not a sole stance, because at the same time, he also restricted travel from some of the countries he's been trying to restrict travel from in a general sense from the very beginning, countries that were not seeing coronavirus at that point. That was attacked as xenophobic fear-mongering, not locking down some Chinese nationals on a limited basis from coming in. So the attacks are incredibly dishonest, but even worse because you know what I always like to do? Whenever you see them like quoting, like seeing a quote in a video like that or a tweet, take a look at it and see if it was actually honest. So I tracked down one of those Joe Biden talking about xenophobia tweets. And let's see. So Joe Biden did tweet back on March 12th, a wall will not stop the coronavirus. Banning all travel from Europe, which they highlighted, or any other part of the world will not stop it. He goes on to say, though, the disease could impact every nation and any person on the planet, and we need a plan to combat it. That is much less a tweet saying, I am opposed to all bans, and more a tweet saying, this is an international problem. Simply banning travel is not a miracle solution that is going to end it. It's going to be here, so we're going to need a plan. Trump is focusing on the ban and not on the lack of a plan because it did indeed ravage America worse than any other country. And so focusing on that part of the tweet, I guess maybe Joe Biden was initially against the limited restrictions you did do, but moreover, he was saying you have to have a plan and they haven't had one, and that ad doesn't even try to pretend that they did.
Yeah. So ridiculous. So stupid. I mean, Trump has spent so much time. He's not going to change now. That's the thing.
He's not.
And I would say a tiger isn't going to change his stripes, but he's just orange. So he's almost like a tiger. He's not going to grow stripes. The giant orange ball's not going to grow stripes suddenly. He, in his entire life, has picked one way to live, and it is equivocation and grift. And it has done very well for him, except in this case. And in this case, he could have just grown up. He could have just done the right thing. And there are many ways he could have acted intelligently and been able to reap the benefits. But Trump just hasn't. He would rather do BS like this.
Yeah. And I'll ask a question I've asked many times because I know at least one or two people I can see from the comments are right-wingers that are seeing this. So when we say locking down travel wasn't enough, you had to actually have a plan for when it hit here. And you guys say he nailed it. I'm totally fine with not having a plan. And I guess you agree with the end of that video saying that he did what was necessary when lives were at risk. I want you to take a look at what has actually happened, and I want you to be honest. If it wasn't Trump, would you be okay with any of this? If it was Barack Obama, if it was Jimmy Carter, if it was Hillary Clinton, if Hillary Clinton had locked down some travel from China and then gone on vacation for 5 months, and 150,000 plus people had died, including 1,500 just yesterday, would you be applauding her? Would you be satisfied? Would you be calling that a win? Would Fox News be pretending that it was totally fine that all of these people have died? Not one of you right-wingers watching that think even a small version of that hypothesis. You would be brutally attacking them, and you would be right to, because it is unacceptable. It is a catastrophe, a tragedy that continues to develop every single day. Stop lying. Or at least keep lying to yourself. I can't change that. Stop lying in my chat, basically. I can control that, I guess. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.